Welcome to Disneyland, y'all. We're going to try to board Rise of the Resistance following the fresh-baked advice. I'll link their tips in the description down below. We've already failed 3 times before I even started this video. It keeps breaking down. Stick around until the end of the video to find out our thoughts on the whole mess and how we suggest you ride Rise on your next visit.
Can I ask the same question everybody else is asking?
Hopefully we are planning to be out there. That's why everyone.
Yeah, us too. You're just checking. Thank you. What do you mean? They were already. Day 86 of waiting for Rise of the Resistance to reopen. No, obviously not really. So we found it's been closed for a while. So Rise has actually been down for, how long would you say it's been down for? Maybe half an hour? An hour? Something like that. So again, we're on fresh baked rules, so we are watching Rise. They just queued everybody up. They had everybody get in the line. They are not letting anybody in. We've seen a couple people come out, but if we do get in, check this out, guys. There's only like 50 people in front of us if we actually get in here. So worth the wait? I don't know. I don't know how long the wait's going to be, but we're going to try it. Also, it is, what time is it? It's like 6-ish?
6:11.
6:11. So if we don't get in now, we might not get in for the rest of the night. So it's kind of a last shot anyway. So we'll see what happens. Don't fail me now, David. Don't fail me now. Oh, there you go. That was a mad rush, wasn't it? About 2 minutes after that, we all jumped in, man. You haven't stopped yet. Super, super awesome. Loving this. There's a line, but it's moving. Very cool. Day 96 of waiting for Rise of the Resistance to open. Feels like it.
Daddy,
You're spoiled from Disney World.
Should do this spoil from Disney World. We gave up, guys. We gave up. So we got all the way in. Told you we made it all the way up to the briefing room with like nobody in front of us. No wait at all. Really close to it anyway. And then they said, hey, we are not recruiting anymore and we're shut down again. And you're welcome to wait if you want, or you're welcome to leave. But we ain't doing it anymore. That's what they told us. And it was 6:35 at that point, and I didn't know if it was going to be fast or slow. Looked online. Some other people who were in line for Rise of the Resistance shutdowns, and it seemed like at the time that no matter how minor a shutdown is, the shutdown generally lasts at least 40 minutes. And man, I got kids and we're hungry, and I ain't doing that, waiting another 40 minutes for the potential for it to open just to get another 50 feet and then have it break again. And so we took a vote. It was unanimous because only Casey's vote counted. So,
why did only Casey?
because she's mommy, and Daddy lives very firmly by the happy wife, happy life way of marriage. So works out for everybody.
No. Happy spouse, happy house.
I'm not in a house.
Right now?
We're not staying in our house.
No, we're not.
It's like happy.
Because you don't like happy wife, happy life.
It's like happy spotel boom, happy hotel room.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, we gave up. We'll try again tomorrow. We are actually going to try to rope drop it tomorrow. We'll see. We rope dropped Space Mountain this morning very successfully. It was incredible. I think we are going to go against fresh baked advice and actually rope drop Rise because I really want to do it and I don't want to pay for it. And, you know, there's that. Honestly, if it comes down to it, don't tell Casey who's 2 feet away. I'll pay for it if I need to, but I don't want to. So we'll see what happens. I think we're going to let our youngest on too because he's just tall enough. So we're going to see if that's a wise decision or if we regret it the rest of the trip. So anyway, yeah, we gave up. We'll try again. Thanks for watching. Hope it helps with your planning. Don't ever count on Rise being a guaranteed thing. We don't get to do it today. Here's what it is. Well, thanks for watching.
Tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. That's a good idea. But we'll try. So here we are, rope dropping again. Attempt number 104 to get on Rise of the Resistance without a boarding group. All attempts have met with miserable failure thus far. We're gonna see, but we've got a couple people in front of us, and we're pushing a stroller, so we'll see. I know we're not supposed to rope drop rise according to the rules, but you guys got to do what you guys got to do. We may be in line a little bit. Yep. Let's see. Because of course it is. Come on, Disney. Open up the boarding groups.
All right, guys. Well, the good news is we did finally get to ride Rise of the Resistance. The bad news is that I had to pay for it. Bought a lightning lane for each of us to ride Rise of the Resistance. It was $20 per person for the one ride, and man, I did not like that math very much. But guys, oh my gosh, we tried so hard for a day beating Genie Plus, and it just was not happening at all. So now, on one hand, I want to be optimistic. It's possible, right? It's possible. But it's also possible that you are going to have a series of days all in a row, exactly like we did, and you're just going to have no chance of riding at all. Now, to give you a little bit of a history lesson, especially where our Ride the Teacups channel is concerned, the virtual queue was something that Disney created early on when Rise first started. You could go on, use the app in order to find yourself a spot in line, get a boarding group using the app before the park even opened. So before the park gates even opened up to the public, you knew if you were going to ride Rise and roughly when that was going to be. So you were totally slotted. You were totally good and knew exactly what to expect. And if you didn't get inside of one of those boarding groups, you had another shot at 1 o'clock. I believe it was 1 o'clock. Around 1 o'clock to try again and get a later boarding group. It was stressful, but it was possible, guys. We spent 3 days in Hollywood Studios under the virtual queue system, and we got on 3 times. We had to try for the afternoon once and got it. And I found it so stressful, we actually built a virtual queue simulator right here on ridetheteacups.com that you can still use today, even though Rise doesn't use the virtual simulator anymore. Just to kind of see what we went through, get yourself some practice so that you would be ready as soon as you got into the park. But the virtual queue system is gone. It does not exist for Rise of the Resistance. You can't use it. Your only options are to wait in line like we did over and over and over and over and over again, waiting for it to finally stop breaking down. Or you can pay $20 for riding Rise of the Resistance. I think those are awful choices. I think those are two bad choices, and I think Disney can do a whole lot better. Let me take just a second. Let me break down the difference between the lightning lanes that we have now and the virtual queue system that we used to have to get. One thing, very important thing to keep in mind, there is a maximum number of people that are able to ride Rise each day. I don't know what that number is, but there's only so many guests that can actually physically fit on the ride and get in before the park ends up closing. I don't know what that number is, but it is less than the number of people that can get into the park for the day, whether it's Disneyland or Hollywood Studios. Less than 100% of people in the park will be able to ride Rise. That's just math. Let's say, for the sake of argument, let's make up a number. You'll find out in a minute that it doesn't really matter for the sake of our illustration. But let's say that 60% of park guests have the ability to ride Rise. That means 40% of people are just out of luck. We don't have room. There's no space. Can't do it. So 60-40. Let's just make up that number. And let's compare the virtual queue versus the lightning lane on a couple of key points. So now let's look at the virtual queue. Let's say that all of the space available for Rise is filled up with virtual queue passengers, right? So 60% of people in the park who have admission to the park are able to ride Rise. Super happy. That's awesome. Let's also say, just for the sake of argument, that maybe 10% of park guests have no interest in Rise or cannot ride it. Whether, it's not for say people who are or may be pregnant. It's not for people who don't like thrill rides, flashing light seizures, and some people just have no interest in rides, right? Like my mother-in-law just had no interest in riding Rise. That's totally fine. So let's say there's 10% of people who just don't have an interest in riding Rise. Those people are not dissatisfied at all because they can't get on, right? That means 60% of park guests are very happy because they got to ride Rise. 10% of people are totally content or have no opinion because they weren't going to anyway. That leaves 30% of your park guests are unhappy with Rise of the Resistance because they wanted to get on and couldn't. 30% guest unhappiness. Keep that in mind. Now let's switch over to the Lightning Lane experience and regular standby queues, which are open as well. This is great. You don't have to go through the virtual queue. You don't have to go through the stress. You don't have to wake up early. You don't have to go through any of that other nonsense. If you are either arriving at the park early enough or you have the time to spend waiting in line, you can ride Rise. No hoops to jump through. Absolutely awesome. You can totally go. Let's check out some of the wait times that are available on Rise of the Resistance. So this is how long you're going to spend waiting for Rise if you wait in the standby queue. Who's happy about this? Who is happy about spending this much time in a line? Keep in mind, when you go to a theme park, what you're paying for... A little tired, buddy? Sorry, I'm trying not to bore you. I know it's numbers and statistics, but I'm going to do my best to make it interesting. When you buy a park ticket for the day, you're paying for time. You're paying for time in the park. If park is open from 9 to 9, you have paid for 12 hours. You have 12 hours to do whatever you want in the park. Are you going to be satisfied spending this much of your 12 hours in the park? I mean, that's a huge chunk of your time. That's bonkers amount of time just waiting in line, doing nothing. Heaven forbid it break down like it did for me several times while I was in line. That's time you're just sitting in line, not doing the other things that you could be experiencing. But you get to ride Rise. The other experience, of course, is paying for the individual Lightning Lane. Guaranteed ability to ride Rise as long as it's not broken down for the day or anything. Heaven forbid it break down. More or less a guarantee that you get to ride Rise of the Resistance for $20 per person for a single ride. Are you really satisfied paying $20 to ride a ride? Are you? I was not happy, but I did it. So I guess I'm that statistic. So let's imagine maybe a 50-50 split, because again, the math's easy, right? So 50% of people very happy. They waited in line for what they wanted. They got to ride this absolutely amazing, incredible attraction. Totally happy. 50% of people waiting in line, totally thrilled. That was absolutely worth it. They love it. The other 50% maybe were not so happy spending 1/6 of their entire park time in a line for one attraction. Maybe they're not quite so happy. Ride's still amazing, but maybe they weren't quite so happy. And let's say the same thing for the individual Lightning Lanes. Some people spend $20 per person for a single ride. It is amazing. I don't want to take that away from Rise of the Resistance. That is an incredible attraction. And maybe half the people who paid $20, very happy to pay $20 in order to ride it and skip that 2-hour line and go through, and they're absolutely thrilled. And the other 50%, which includes me, by the way, were not thrilled to pay $80 for your family to ride a ride in a very expensive theme park. So what this means with individual Lightning Lanes and standby lines, you still have 30% of the people who are unhappy because they could not get on or would not get on if they don't want to wait in line. 30% of people, no capacity, don't like it. 10% of people, indifferent, have no opinion, they weren't going to ride it anyway. And then of that other 60%, half of them did not enjoy their experience of waiting in line or paying for the individual Lightning Lane. And that means you now have an overall 30% guest satisfaction rate, 40% guest satisfaction rate if we're adding in the people that didn't ride Rise. 40% guest satisfaction rate. With the virtual queue system, you had a 60%, 70% guest satisfaction rate. But with the lower satisfaction rate, at least you raked in $20 per person for half the people that rode it, right? So it's a money grab. It's an absolute money grab. And again, the actual percentage don't necessarily matter because you can see very clearly that the sides are going to extremely tilt in favor of the guest experience with virtual queue overall and extremely against the individual lightning lane overall. You would have to have 100% of the people satisfied waiting for 2 hours in line and 100% of people satisfied actually paying for the individual lightning lane to meet the virtual queue satisfaction numbers, which was free. So I loved the virtual queue system. I hated the individual lightning lane. The virtual queue system I knew was the best of a bad situation, and I told people the same thing on online boards and those types of things. At the time, there are no good options, but this is the best of the bad options. And when the individual lightning lanes came out and people were standing in line for the standby queues, I think that came to pass just based off of simple math. As guest satisfaction went down, Disney made more money. And doesn't that seem exactly like the priorities of the current Disney leadership? They got exactly what they wanted. So here's our tip for you. Very simple. Budget in the individual lightning lane into your budget. We tried very hard to beat the Genie Plus system. We're going to show you that vlog later on. So subscribe. Make sure that you're subscribed because you don't want to miss that. We actually did very successfully early on. We want to show you those results too. We tried very hard to beat Genie Plus, and it was just not in the cards for the whole visit. One of the things that we learned that we were surprised about was getting Genie Plus and the individual lightning lanes. It's not just that we saved the time in line. It's that standing in those lines, especially the ones that aren't moving because the Genie Plus lines are moving so fast, because those lines that aren't moving, that is just so draining. It's physically draining with the heat. It's emotionally draining because you know your time is ticking. You have X amount of hours to be in the park and you're spending it not moving, stuck in a place where you really don't want to be. You are not only saving the time, but you are gaining back that emotional stress, the physical exertion of just standing out in the heat, standing still. You're saving all of that in addition to getting through the lines so much quicker. We strongly suggest that you pick up Genie Plus and those individual lightning lanes for the rides that you're looking for, specifically Rise. We were able to get on cars every single time that we wanted to in the mornings. The first time that we went, we got straight on. We had about a 15-minute wait because we rope dropped everything. The second rope drop did not go as well. We rope dropped it. We booked it straight out to the Radiator Springs Racers ride. And guys, we still waited 90 minutes at rope drop. Have those things budgeted in. Just know ahead of time that you are probably going to pay money for those individual lightning lanes and make sure that you bring the budget in order to match. One of the frustrating parts for me and why my experience was so bad, because I was expecting not to pay. And when I did have to pay, it just felt like another cash grab, like Disney's getting another dollar out of me. But guys, the stuff that we paid a whole lot of money for that I had expected to pay money for, like the ridiculously overpriced candy apple that we got and the ridiculously overpriced treats and the ridiculously overpriced sit-down restaurant that we went to. We usually go to Blue Bayou. This time we tried the Lamplight Lounge. Those were great. Those were outstanding because I had planned to spend that money. Even though it was expensive, more expensive than I would spend basically anywhere else for the same experience, we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves because we had planned to spend that money. We'd budgeted to spend that money, and it wasn't a worry. Spending an unexpected $80 out of pocket was stressful, especially in the moment. So put it in your budget. Plan to spend it. Plan to buy Genie Plus, plan to buy those individual lightning lanes, and when the time comes, there's no surprises, there's no, there's no defeat. And psychologically, I think that's going to really help you out. So plan to spend the money and have a great time doing it because Rise is incredible. Did you like it? Let me try to get this down. Did you like riding Rise of the Resistance?
Yeah.
You did? Was it scary?
No.
No? Even the drop part?
No.
It was not scary?
No.
That's so cool. How old are you? Can you tell the camera? How old are you?
3.
You're 3. And you went on Rise of the Resistance. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part?
The drop part?
The drop part was your favorite, it was?
Yeah.
Was Kylo Ren a little scary?
No.
No. Even I was scared of Kylo Ren a little bit. That dude's crazy. You're crazy, aren't you?
No, you're crazy, aren't you?
We're all a little crazy. But that's okay. That's what Disney does to us, and we thoroughly enjoy our Disney trips. So there you have it, guys. Our tips to Rise of the Resistance, our experience with trying to beat the system, and what we learned to try to help you actually beat the system. It's all psychological, guys. It's a mind game. If you're expecting to spend the money, then you're not going to worry about it. It's not going to be defeatist, and you are going to have a great time. Make sure you ride Rise, whatever it takes, because that thing is amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. We want to help you enjoy Disney all the time. Sometimes that just means bringing you to the parks virtually, which a lot of our videos do, helping you plan to get there or beat those Disney blues when you get back. So subscribe, leave a comment down in the, what in the world is it called? The comment section. I should have figured that out. Leave a comment down in the comment section down below. Let us know what you think. Are we completely way off base? Did we miss the mark? Or is this spot on advice? I also want to know if you actually tried our virtual queue simulator and what you thought about it. A lot of high praise from people that did end up using it. I hope it was helpful for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see all of you guys next time.
We ride the teacups.
Very good, buddy. Love you guys. See ya.